You are listening to Claret and Blue, an Aston Villa podcast brought to you by Birmingham Live. Hello, welcome back to the Claret and Blue podcast. My name is Dan Rolinson. I'm joined by Matt Kendrick this evening, Saturday, 19th of February. It's 7:15 currently, and we always say before we start these, let's try and keep this to half an hour. And I've got a strict rule that 7:45 this evening, we will be finished because there's not a lot to talk about this afternoon. Is a very, very disappointing afternoon at Villa Park for us all. Before we get into it, Matt, obviously Villa 0, Watford 1 is disgusting to say. I had a few tweets when I said that this was coming at kind of 7 o'clock-ish saying, fair play for you for doing this. I don't envy you at all. And I kind of said, well, this is my part of my job. I don't have a choice. I don't want to be sat here talking about Villa losing games to Watford either. But, like I said, this is our job, so we don't really have a choice. So with all that out of the way, Matt, your general kind of feelings before we get stuck into the game. Are you as sad as everybody else?
I love how you get people really excited about that podcast by saying it's just because you're contractually obliged.
It's fun when we're winning, isn't it?
I can't remember. Yeah, it was bleak, wasn't it? I thought first half it was just a bit kind of not bad enough to really moan about, but not good enough, against the team in the run of form that Watford was. And I thought, naively, Gerrard gets us playing in 45 minutes at a time, and then you'll get into them at half time and crank them up, and we'll win this by a couple of goals, kicking towards the whole end. The second half was just woeful. It was absolutely woeful. And I've been thinking about it, thinking, well, was it a kind of smash and grab? And on possession-wise, you'd probably suggest it was, but I've just reacquainted myself with the highlights on YouTube just before I come on here, and they've had the clearest chances, let alone the goal. They've had the one from Dennis in the first half where they've cut us open quickly and he's forced a save from Martinez. They've had the one when Sissoko probably should have squared the ball on the break in the second half and smashed it into the side netting. After the goal, they've had the one where Josh King is again denied by Martinez. I don't think Ben Foster's had to get a glove to the ball. Hardly. Certainly in terms of saving a shot today.
We at the post, didn't we, as well, at one point?
Say that again?
We at the post, didn't we, at one point?
Did we?
I think so. Did we not? I don't know.
When was that?
I feel like we did. We did, didn't we? Yeah. I'm sure we hit the post at some point. I mean, I've not long got home. I've not seen anything back. I've seen one quote from Gerrard saying basically it wasn't good enough. I've seen it in the stadium live, and that's it. I've not seen anything, but I'm sure we hit the post. I can't tell you who it was, but there's something telling me we hit. I mean, the comments will tell us as always. We're live on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter this evening. People will tell us whether we are right or wrong.
Has he, Jeff?
I've got a feeling we hit the post at some point. Ings, maybe? Ings hit the post. Yeah, there we go.
Oh, sorry. He did. Yes, sorry. I forgot.
He's offside. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, you would have been offside. Yeah, that's why we've all forgotten about it.
Closest chance of the first half.
I can't see chance. You're still offside. Oh God.
But yeah, I don't know. I mean, the interesting thing for me was Gerrard came out post Newcastle and said, that's not acceptable. We need to be better. I'm going to make changes. And I thought at the time, are you?
Well, you can't think what changes, don't you?
Well, he's made what, we knew that Watkins was probably going to get the old heave-ho and Ings was going to come in. But I didn't really think he would make many changes because I think he knows, and this is where he's got a summer rebuild of sorts to get stuck into. He knows that the players, that the 13, 14 players that he is using and putting on the pitch most regularly are his best players, and they're just underperforming. Yeah. I don't think he feels equipped to make 3 or 4 changes in there at the moment. But for them to deliver that performance when Gerrard must clearly have got stuck into him over the last week, it was really disappointing. But having said that, he's the manager. He's got to take responsibility as well, because that system, when you've got a team, we saw when Leeds left space in behind, could be super clinical. But when Watford have come for a draw, I don't think even they intended to score, but they've come for a draw and put 8 or 9 behind the ball, and that's their prerogative because they've got to try and battle their way into some kind of form that's going to save them. we just didn't look like stretching. Just didn't look like stretching them at all.
To on Gerrard's comments, me and my dad said afterwards, like, you almost wonder whether he kind of said that about making changes almost in the heat of the moment last week, and then almost lived to regret by what he said, because we're now all looking at it going, well, why didn't he make changes? He said he was going to. So then you wonder, why even say that in the first place? And we're doing our predicted lineup, sticking Morgan Sanson in there, potentially Ashley Young coming in, and you kind of think, Ashley Young coming in for cash, what would be the point of that? Sanson for Louise was another kind of semi-obvious one, but then that never materialises to the point that Sanson doesn't even get off the bench once again. It's just strange, isn't it? Because I'm trying to kind of half talk here and read the comments at the same time, and I will address a few things in the comments as we go on. You look at that side still, and as much as the momentum of the game and the atmosphere and all those kind of things, the side that's finished that game, Watkins there, Ings, Bailey, Buendia was on the pitch for a long time, Coutinho, Ramsey, McGinn, that front five, kind of 5 or 6 attacking players that I've just read off there, can't even score a goal against Watford. 15 points, Watford. That's poor. However you dress it up, isn't it? Whatever changes you make.
Well, those names that you've just read out there is the best collection of players probably Villa have had since, probably talking about the O'Neill days.
Like Petrov, Milner, Downing, Young, Gary, Barry, Carew, Gabby. That's the comparable one, isn't it? Probably.
It is the best. It is the best selection of players that we've had since then. Now we've had some bleak times since then, so that doesn't suddenly make that collection of players world beaters. But it's just the Gerrard thing. I don't want to get too stuck into him because he's only been in the door a couple of months. But to me,
comments.
that's people's prerogative. But to me, the thing that he said last week about making changes is something a manager says. And I thought Gerrard, I didn't think Gerrard was a kind of manager who said something a manager. Do you know what I mean? I thought that he's been so honest and so blunt in a lot of his assessments and seeing games the way that we've seen them, that if he says something, he's going to do it. But I don't know. What is it? 1 win in 7 now? Is that right? The win at Everton was the only win in 7, and it's not good enough because we didn't, when he came in, there was a short, sharp shock, and having lost 5 or 6 games on the spin under Dean Smith, he really injected some fresh ideas, some fresh impetus into that dressing room. I don't think we all expected to go and win every week, but we expected from this little mini run of games against struggling Newcastle, against here or there Leeds, against struggling Watford, we expected more than a point. And it's just miserable. It's a really miserable return.
I said this. I mean, we could pretty much say what we said after Newcastle, to be honest. But you looked at that run of 4 games this month, and you kind of said, I would be happy with 9, but there's no reason why you can't get 10 or 12, minimum 7. And now we're looking at a maximum of 4, and that's counting on us going away to Brighton next week on the back of a bad run and winning, which, it's easy to get carried away, isn't it? And go, when's the next win coming from? When's the next goal coming from? We're not scored against Newcastle and Watford back to back. All the stuff pre-game about Watford not winning for X amount of games, not scoring under Roy Hodgson. It's got 1-0 Watford written all over it, hasn't it? It's peak Villa to be the one that breaks that record. But as much as you can, want to blame Gerrard or blame individual players, the players that we just read out that started for Aston Villa versus the side that started for Watford. I know football's not played on paper, but on paper, that side is enough to win today. There's only so long we can keep saying, well, there's a summer window coming up, we can spend another 100 million. Start getting the best out of the talent we've got.
I agree. It's like, thinking every time you drop a little bit of wine on your carpet, you got to get a new carpet. You know what I mean? It's not. You can't keep doing it. You can't keep clearing out and starting again. Villa should be at a stage where they're not doing mass revamps all the time. They should be doing pretty much like we thought they were doing last summer in terms of 2 or 3 tweaks to make the team better and to improve areas of weakness. I think the Villa. I don't think that Villa squad is really quite ready for top 6, 7, but equally they should be a lot better than the performances that we've seen in the last few weeks. And
what do you think this side, this current squad, and Gerrard as well? What do you think that the ceiling is? Is it 8th? Is that the best we can do? Is that squad capable of of
It's
8th, or
difficult,
is
isn't
it?
it? Because you know, probably just sneaking top half, but 10th or 8th might be the difference. One victory, over the end of the season, and if they finish 10th but they're 1 point behind 8th or 3 points behind 8th, does that make it any worse a season? I'm not sure. I mean, the other thing that struck me, and I think someone's mentioned this in the comments on a previous podcast, is as football fans, we like to kind of draw parallels from what's happened before and that kind of thing. But that conceding of a comfortable lead against Leeds, very reminiscent of what happened against Wolves and the hangover that followed. And we can't get stuck in this rut again. The reaction should have come at Newcastle. It certainly should have come today. And that is on Gerrard. And, he has players at his disposal to get more of a tune out than he's getting in the last few weeks. And he'll have been embarrassed by that, or he should have been.
Well, yeah, but we said all the same things after Newcastle, though. That was the quote that was come out today, is that I've had a really honest conversation with the players, and I feel like the same theme happened after Newcastle. Must do better. We know we weren't good enough. The staff know it. The players know it. It's under par. Blah 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 blah. Because all the same's happened again today, and I know you can't just fix everything in 6 days or whatever it is since the Newcastle game. But there's a lot of talk about we need to start quicker, we need to come out of the blocks fast and all that. And yes, potentially we'll talk about the VAR thing very quickly in a second. They come out and potentially get a penalty in the first couple of minutes, and if that goes in, it is a totally different game. You would imagine that doesn't go your way, but you still then got the rest of the game to break down a Watford side at home. How many times do we just come out of a game and a defeat and we watch a Gerrard interview and he says, you know what, we weren't good enough, we need to do better. I'll have honest conversations with the players. So, there's a line between talking the talk, isn't there? You've then got to go and deliver it in a match.
Yeah, exactly. And, he came in a blaze of publicity and probably a kind of nervous, unsure excitement about what he could do. And I must admit, I was one of the cynics. I wondered if it was a fanboy appointment from Christian Purslow, and then probably seduced a little bit by a couple of victories, and listening to Gerrard and thinking he seems switched on. You know what I mean? He seems like he won't. He's a man with a plan. He can be tactically adept, and he's also that kind of got a little. We saw, didn't we, his celebrations for the first couple of wins and hugging his coaching staff and stuff like that. I thought, well, he's almost like the kind of perfect blend, because he's savvy enough to be able to get the team to play in a way that can, he can hold their own against other Premier League managers. But he's also got a bit of that kind of English grit, British grit and passion that we all crave for, which is fine when things are going well. But when things aren't going well, you've got to try and find a way to quickly fix it, because we've seen, I don't think it's just an Aston Villa thing, but we've seen how quickly a kind of little mini crisis can grip teams. And even whipping boys Watford, who couldn't buy a win, couldn't buy a goal, can sniff that little bit of, if you're not quite on it, teams will come and get you. Gerrard knows this. He's played hundreds and hundreds of games in the Premier League, so I don't think he's got his SPL hat on. I think he knows what he's up against. But it's his name above the door. He's got to sort it out quite quickly. He's a man in a hurry. He wants to go places. He's never known failure before. I mean, I'd be interested to see. I doubt he's had a kind of winless run like this before in his career, because he certainly wouldn't have had one, as a player. And I doubt in the SPL he would have done. So it's probably as much of a rut as he's been stuck in before. So it's over to him and his coaches to go and fix it.
Before we get into the massive kind of inquest into what's going on, who's at blame kind of thing, I just want to go back to the comments about what Villa's ceiling in. People saying, I'm clueless, suggesting we're going to finish 8th. I don't mean we're going to finish 8th this season. I mean, if you played a season, just kind of simulated it ahead, people like Leon Bailey, Danny Ings, Ollie Watkins, Emi Buendia, Coutinho, they all score more than the goals they've got. I think Danny Ings and Watkins have got 9 between them. On paper, they're 15, 20 goal men, aren't they? That squad is capable of finishing somewhere between 10th and 8th, I think. Right now, in the form we're in, you are lucky to be kind of 14th, 15th. that's poor. That's underachieving what the players are capable of, I think. I don't think we need to go and spend 150 million to get new players to finish 8th. I think this squad, if they're on form, could do it. Just to clarify what I said before, I mean, you might still think I'm clueless, but I'm not saying we're going to finish 8th this season. Just going to today, but like I said, before we go into the big inquest, did you think that was a penalty in the first 2 minutes?
It looked it, I thought, at first.
We have saw two replays on the big screen. That doesn't happen very often.
No, they normally kind of hide those from public view, don't they? It did look a penalty. I've not seen it back since I've returned home. So I've been interested to see what people thought. He didn't seem to get much or any of the ball to me. I don't think the ref. It looked like they weren't even going to look at it until the players got into the ref a little bit and got round him a little bit. But even so, that's 3 minutes into the game. If it's not given, which is not given, you've still got another 87, 80, 88 minutes to try and score a goal, and just didn't look like it, did it? And I remember saying after the Leeds game, I can't see a game when this Villa team, they've got such an abundance of attacking talent. Can't see a game when they won't score. 2 games later,
since then,
2 games later, when we're going to score again.
Yeah, it looked like, again, I've only seen it in real time and those replays in the stadium. I imagine they were checking it, but there's just a big kind of delay, and then it suddenly pops up, oh, checking penalty, and then like 10 seconds later, no penalty. So you'd assume they were looking at it, during that time when there's a bit of a wait. I think it came up checking penalty, and then literally as that came on, they went over to take the corner. So you're like, oh, they clearly know this is going to carry on anyway. It looked a penalty for me, but someone just said Mo Salah gets a penalty in that situation, 100%. Yeah, if that's Man City or Liverpool, feels like that would be a different story.
But like you say, today that'd probably be the least of them, to be honest.
Yeah, that's low down. You've got the rest of the game to fix up and sort things out. Again, you just wonder why you go from even the Leeds game. I know we threw those 2 goals away after being 3-1 up. You play well, and there's at times you think Coutinho, Ramsey were absolutely clinical here. Even just from that a couple of weeks ago to now is crazy. But when Gerrard first came in and you win 4 out of 6 or whatever the record was, and you look like you've really started to change things, and you're having these nice kind of triangle passing and bombing on your fullbacks. How have we gone from that to losing 1-0 back-to-back against Newcastle and Watford? How does that happen?
I don't know. Just it's interesting, as soon as a new manager comes in, it changes things around. You're on your best behaviour and stuff like that. But do people become comfortable? He's again, like I said, the guys, James and Pat, have got a better tactical appreciation of the game than I have. But is Gerrard setting them up correctly? If he's got a team that can't stretch an out of form, out of confidence Watford team any more than they did. And listen, Villa had loads of the ball, and I think had a reasonable number of efforts on goal. Was it just one of them on target?
I think I heard on the radio that it was 20 shots, 1 on target or something like that. I don't know whether it was as much as that, but like there's people saying, we were poor, like we were at Newcastle. I felt like it was a better performance than the Newcastle game. I think we just looked abject in that. We never really looked like scoring today, which is a problem in itself. But you still kind of thought, we're on the ball here. Your wing backs are bombing on. Kind of looks like we're trying a little bit. I don't think it's down to effort and stuff like that. I don't know. It's just I think being slow, not from like a pace perspective, but just getting the ball forward. It seems to take us ages to kind of transition up the pitch, and you're kind of thinking, where's the support here? Or Danny Ings will drop down to help a cross come in or whatever, and then there's no one in the box, and it's just strange watching Villa, I feel like, at the moment. And again, you just said James and Pat would be tactically better to assess what I've just said there, but it just feels like Villa aren't really doing anything. I don't know how to describe that any better than that.
Yeah, they do seem to move the ball quite slowly, and often you'll find a pass goes behind somebody rather than into their path, and it gives teams, especially teams who are set up with the intention of being very defensive, it gives them chance to get set, and it doesn't mean it means that they're not being turned. They're always the defenders are always playing the way they're facing, and it just makes it easier to defend against. I think the thing that struck me today was, and this is probably a bit of sour grapes from me, but I thought Watford were very similar in their time-wasting approach to the Watford that came a couple of seasons ago when we scored that goal, that winner in the last minute. I don't think the ref was strong enough to clamp down on it.
Yeah, the ref was poor.
It is sour grapes because they're fighting for their lives. Why wouldn't they come and be streetwise and do whatever they can to win the game? But it's probably a bit petty of me, but I thought Roy Hodgson, one of the great gentlemen of the game, he wants a team to be associated with that, who are kind of, the 6 minutes of stoppage time. I think the ball's only in play for 2 minutes of those 6, because every single time they were kind of feigning, well, I say feigning injury, who knows, because there were then those players that were going down were being subbed off anyway, so they could wind the clock down even more. But my highlight of the match was when Martinez dragged Dennis back to his feet.
He went off injured after that, didn't he, as well? So there's clearly something wrong with him, I think. So not great to dragging him around if there's something wrong with him. But yeah, Watford have done that under 10 managers since they came a couple of years ago. So it's not like a managerial thing. It's just that's what Watford do. The senior players amongst the squad, people like Ben Foster, Tom Cleverley, must kind of go, when the chips are down, this is what we've got to do. And it's very frustrating. That last game when you nick the late winner, you kind of go, yeah, stick that up, you Ben Foster. Thanks for all that time wasting to give us that extra time. But today, it is frustrating, but they're fighting for every point. They're 1-0 up away from home after not scoring in 4 games. They're entitled to do it. I don't necessarily agree with it, but it's up to Villa and Steven Gerrard to use that 90 minutes to break them down and get ahead in the game so they don't have the opportunity to time waste. You know that if you play a side like that, or Burnley when we have to play them, still twice this season, if they go ahead, they will time waste to make it difficult for you to get out there early and score first, make them open up. That's the way to deal with it. I know it's not as easy as just saying score a goal then, but Villa should be better.
No, that's their prerogative, like you say. The nameplate on the manager's door at Watford changes every couple of weeks, but the manual, the time wasting manual in the top drawer, the chest of drawers clearly remains. They were poor, weren't they? They looked, Watford to me looked like a team that were relegation fodder, but today Aston Villa looked like a team that were relegation fodder.
Yeah, and we've given them 6 points this season. They've only got about 17, 18 points, and the 6 of them are from Villa. That's crazy.
He's right. I think a third of the points have come from Villa this season, which is grim, really, isn't it? Really grim. I thought the atmosphere was poor again today as well. And I know we have this debate over, got to feed off each other. If the players perform, then the atmosphere will rise, and if the atmosphere is good, then the players will feed off that. But I thought it was flat all the way through. I think we turned up at Villa Park having seen 20 minutes, 25 minutes of really good football against Leeds. Having seen on the television, most of us, a crap performance at Newcastle, and thinking there'd be a really strong reaction to it. And I think knowing the form Watford were in, well, probably, maybe it's me being complacent, I thought we'd go and win by a couple of goals quite easily. But it just didn't pan out like that. And I just thought it was flat. The team were flat, the fans were flat. And 2 months ago, the roof's absolutely been ripped off the place. And today it's just, is this become another listless slog towards 40 points? Is that what we're at? Is that what this season's going to be?
We'll talk about a points target in a second. I did say we'd be finished by 1:45, but I mean, we always end up running over. So let's go through a couple of individuals, not from the starting 11, but the subs and what you kind of just thought of the substitutes generally. I think obviously made the 3 changes. Watkins got half an hour-ish. Leon Bailey gets on as well, and somebody else. Ashley Young comes on for cash. He was on a yellow card, and again, there was talk of Ashley Young starting games. It's always the players that aren't playing, aren't they? That are the magic solution. On the way back, saying, why isn't Courtney Hawes given a go? Why isn't Sanson given a go? And then Bailey comes on and does nothing. Ollie Watkins comes on and doesn't really do a fat lot, to be honest. Ashley Young comes on, and apart from a bit of organisation and stuff, it's still 36-year-old Ashley Young playing right back. Is that the best we've got, kind of thing? Is how I would assess that.
What was the thinking behind Ashley Young coming on for cash?
Don't know. Cash was on a yellow, so maybe risking
on a yellow most weeks.
But that's the only thing I think of. Like, people saying about he was being terrible and he should have been dropped after Newcastle. I didn't think he was that bad to be. If the alternative is Ashley Young at right back, I mean, I think you just carry on with Cash there. So I don't think there was ever a chance of him not playing. But yeah, subbing Young on with 20 minutes ago, whatever it was, don't know what that offered really.
just couldn't understand it. I couldn't understand the thinking behind it. And if it was because Matty Cash is on a yellow card, well, he's been on a yellow card for 3 of the last 5 matches, and at a time where Villa's build-up was too methodical and slow, and need to get behind the Watford defence. I thought it was very strange.
When he came on and we had a free kick, I think Dina kind of put it left of the post, and Young was really having a go at the Watford wall to get back and point to the ref. Oh, look, they're over the line, that kind of thing. I thought my only thought then was he's been brought on for this kind of thing to kind of get in the ref's phase, wind them up a little bit, try and be that kind of professional to go, do this, do that. That's the only thing I could think of, and that was a stretch of a reason why. Bit of a head to get on there, like the kind of the dirty side of the game management kind of stuff. Get back at Watford, kind of try and wind them up a little bit as well. But yeah, that's not a great reason for bringing on a 36-year-old right back, is it?
Yeah, I think he's switched off for the goal as well.
Yeah,
he's got absolute acres to. I mean, that goal was another kind of recipe for disaster. Really, I think Chambers has gone to win the ball, towards the halfway line and not got there. It's gone past him. He's out of position. I think Villa have still had a chance to get set and get rid of it, but I think it was Dean on the left side who didn't do anywhere near enough to stop the cross. And then your man, it was Dennis, wasn't it, who scored? Who was in absolute acres to bury that, and it was just a ridiculous goal. I thought we were heading for 0-0, to be honest. I didn't think Watford would have that. Even on their little kind of dangerous breaks, I didn't think they'd have that much ambition to want to go and win the game. But it's another one of those where we've just gifted a team the points without them having to really, really cut us open or work hard to cut us open. So I thought the Young one was strange. I thought Watkins came on for the first 5-10 minutes, looked lively. A couple of times when the balls bounced back off him when we could have done with it being under control. It's I can't quite get my head around it, because I thought Ings was good for the first 15-20 minutes, then faded a little bit after that. Obviously, he had the penalty shout, and he had the one that kind of reminded me hit the post. Watkins and Ings don't tend to work as a two. Neither one of them can really take the opportunity to prove that they need to be the main man. And who else came on? Bailey,
yeah. Nothing. Bailey at the end, I've just remembered. Two things from Bailey.
That was
that one chance at the end when he's just not even controlled the ball. For any professional footballer in a moment of need, poor. But for 30 million signing that we've got all these hopes for, it's not even control the ball and get a shot away is grim. And that corner he took as well. The last couple of minutes, I think Martinez hits the first man. I mean, hitting the first man off a corner is criminal. And there's some kind of stat that corners aren't quite as good as you think they are. Only like 4% are scored or something like that. Yeah. But to not even get past the first man in the last couple of minutes as a professional footballer is so grim. And you kind of look to Leon Bailey as like this exciting talent on the bench. Got a bit of pace. We almost even don't really know what he offers. Watkins on the bench, Bailey on the bench. That's exciting. They can change the game, and they come on and don't change the game. So not as exciting as you think. They can, but they didn't today.
No, but that's what I mean. That's the frustrating thing about it. These are good players. These are players with a proven pedigree, either already in the Premier League in the case of Watkins, or in the Bundesliga in the case of Bailey. We've got Ings, who's been one of the Premier League's kind of most dangerous, most potent marksmen for the last 3 or 4 years. We've got some really, really fantastic players, and there just seems to be a collective malaise that has taken over them again. Yeah, it's grim. It's really, really grim. What's the next few fixtures look like? Is it Brighton and Southampton?
Brighton, Southampton, West Ham, I think, potentially. West Ham, Arsenal, something like that. So again, not like terrible fixtures coming up, but we you'd have looked at Newcastle and Watford as a winnable ones. We've lost them both, and I suppose if you then go and beat Southampton and Brighton, as crazy as that sounds, at 8 o'clock this evening, you kind of would suggest that maybe you'd won the other games and lost those two. So from a points perspective, you're kind of on track still. There's a lot of talk about relegation and stuff in the comments and on the radio on the way back, and you kind of think, oh, surely not. Like, surely we're on 27 points now, 14 games to go, I think it is. let's say you need 40 points, which you won't. You won't need as many as 40. What do you need to win there? 4 games to get to 40 points, like get you to 39 points. Like, are we really not going to win 4 games in the next 14? Like, I know, once you lose a game, you can't go, oh, we're never going to win again. We're never going to score again. Like, we could win 1, lose 3, win 1, lose 3, win 1, lose 3. And that would be a terrible run to the end of the season, but you'd be safe. So it would take an absolute disgusting run for us to be relegated.
Yeah, listen, I don't want to tempt fate and jinx it. I can't see a scenario where we collapse that spectacularly. But the fact is that 4 weeks ago, we were probably thinking, can we sneak into the top 8 or 7? Can we dare to dream? And it's a Villa thing, isn't it? Always at your most dangerous when you actually think that things are in order. But I don't know. I don't want to be too doom and gloom, because I think we need to treat Villa on the expectations for this season rather than the expectations that signing Coutinho and Steven Gerrard arriving and Christian Perslow giving it the big sell when the managerial change was made, whenever to October, November. I still think we need to judge it on this season. Now,
yeah,
judging it on this season, I still think Villa can finish 10th. I mean, where are we now? So 12th with 5 points, 5 points off 10th. So it's not beyond the realms of possibility. And I think if we finish the top 10, I think we're about on par. So yes, it sounds silly, Dan, but if that run of wins that we had when Gerrard first came in would have been spread over 12 games rather than 6 games.
That's what I mean. You could win 1, lose 3, draw 1, win 1, lose 3, and you'd be absolutely fine from a relegation point of view. You would still look at that and go, Christ, we're losing a lot of games here. This is grim. Come on here, staying up are our expectations. You lot are deluded. We won't beat Brighton. We won't even touch the ball. Burnley went there today and won 3-0. Burnley that never scored goals. I went to Brighton at Brighton and won 3-0, and we were all just going, I'll just write Brighton off. Forget it. Let's not even turn up. Yeah, I'm not saying I'm going to go there and absolutely turn them over. But I just don't like it when you lose a game where you have a bad performance and people go, well, we're definitely losing the next one then. Because what if we do go to Brighton and win? Then what? Oh, I don't get that. Like, you go into every game expecting that this is a chance it's a fresh 90 minutes. Like, you can't just write off games just for the sake of it.
It's football fans, isn't it? I just
don't get it.
Yeah, no, I agree, but it's like going into Sainsbury's and thinking that everybody's going to think the same as you. People treat the support of a football club or whatever the match day experience, and if they want to be more glass half empty, there's days when we, towards the end of that first season in the Premier League, I'd given up. I thought we were spent force, and it's not great. We've been missold the dream so many times as Villa fans that we just think, come on, is this the one? Is this the time when we back to where we think we should be? So it is disappointing and it is frustrating. Like my nephew today, I don't think he'll be watching now because he's going out with his mates. But turn into a proper evil little sod, and you're thinking, Alex, calm down. Just calm down. Do you know what I mean? Maybe it's because this is not my first rodeo. Do you know what I mean? I've been over this ground a few times, and it is grim because we're just teetering on the brink of something good, and then it falls flat on its arse again. People react in a different way.
Yeah, it's definitely frustrating. I'm not saying it's like everything's hunky-dory. I'm just saying I'm not going to watch Brighton next week and go, I'm not even going to turn it on because we've definitely lost. It's just silly. The last thing I wanted to ask about Gerrard, because there has been comments like this whole thing saying Gerrard's out of his depth. I can't believe Perslow appointed him off the back of a Scottish title. Gerrard out, etc., etc., etc. Not the man. New manager, please. Again, not for me, but like you've literally just said, people can say whatever they like. That's what we do this on social media. Everyone's got their own account; they can say what they like. But we had that kind of lift under Gerrard when he first comes in, and a lot of clubs do get that new manager bounce. West Brom and Steve Bruce haven't had it, and some clubs don't have it. But we did start well under him. We did see a few changes, like I said, different kind of passing, change the shape a little bit, all that kind of stuff. Do you think kind of maybe the players aren't reacting great to his honesty. Just the comparison to Dean Smith. This is maybe a little bit of a lazy link of someone that isn't a Bodymore. I don't know how the players were treated and how they're treated now. But it kind of seemed that Dean Smith was an arm around the shoulder, let's be mates, and Gerrard is digging people out in interviews and saying we're not good enough, we need to be better. Do you think maybe some of the players are thinking, as much as that Steven Gerrard, the legendary football player, you're a rookie manager, mate, like, you know, leave off kind of thing. Is that fair, maybe, that somebody is thinking, you know, why are you digging me out for? You've only been here 3 months.
I don't know. I mean,
I'm just trying to think what the reason for the change of why we're all suddenly now like sludging around the pitch going, this is a bit grim.
I don't know. I just think people get comfortable, don't they? You know, all of a sudden when somebody comes in, you know, a new boss comes in, you gotta be careful because I've got a new boss at work. But your new boss comes in.
You actually start doing some work.
You're actually flat out, full at it, aren't you? And then you know, once you settle and you know what you're dealing with. But I wouldn't have thought Gerrard would have allowed that. You know,
well, that's what we keep saying, that Gerrard's got these high standards and he won't accept it, and that we've had now three defeats, that three results haven't been great, and we're going, Steven Gerrard's got better standards for that. He won't accept players not giving their all, and then we see players not giving their all, and we think, well, hang on a minute, what's going on here then?
But I don't think it's a case of players necessarily tossing it off and not giving their all either. I just think, you know, the system that has worked in some games has clearly not worked in other games. And it's Gerrard, you know, is Gerrard trying to put in place a system that requires better players or different players, and trying to ask things of players that aren't capable of doing it? I don't know. I think it's a little bit of that. I don't think it's a case of them not playing for the manager or them not caring particularly. I just think that they're not quite in tune with what they need to do. It's such a Villa thing, and somebody, I think somebody, might have been Martin Lawrence or somebody, tweeted saying, you know, the last few weeks Gerrard's had his eyes open properly to what it's like being an Aston Villa manager, because, you know, it's gone from the sublime to the ridiculous at times. Yeah, I've run out of steam, I think.
Yeah, there's a comment here that this is just the perfect way to end it, because we are going around in circles. It says, we've won 1 in 8, and you're now saying, of course, we'll win 4 in 14 to end the season. It's kind of like, well, we won 4 in 6 under Gerrard's first few games, so you can pick and choose like what part of the season you want to support, whatever side you want, can't you? 1 win in 8 is grim, I understand that, but like these things always happen. Does that mean we're only going to win? So if you're saying we're not going to win 4 in 14, are we only going to win 3 in 22? Like that's ridiculous as well, isn't it? Like we can come back to this at the end of the season, obviously, and if we are relegated, they'll deserve to go down. It'll be a disgusting relegation from this point, because we shouldn't be anywhere near it.
We're not going to get relegated.
No, but this is what people are saying in the comments. People genuinely believe we are in danger, and that we won't win those. We need 9 or 10 points to be guaranteed, and that takes us to 38, 39, 40. We're really not going to get more than that. Are we going to be struggling around 32, 33 points? We're not going to pick another 6 points up for the remaining 4. Oh, it's just stupid, isn't it? Like, that's what I mean. I don't really want to even get sucked into it, because just the thought of only getting 6 points for the remainder of the season, it's silly.
Before I go, because I like to bring some light relief, do you like egg mayonnaise?
I knew you were going to mention this. We've got 400 viewers. Let's see how many drop off now. Now the football's out of the way. Do I like egg mayonnaise, did you say?
Yeah.
I do like egg mayonnaise, yes. Why?
No, just because I had an egg mayonnaise sandwich yesterday, and it's one of them things where you wouldn't want it. You wouldn't want it every single day, but when you have it, you think, oh, this is quite pleasant. And I was just trying to suss whether anybody else kind of occupied that headspace and was similarly impressed by egg mayonnaise as an occasional snack or a sandwich filling. And it really divides people. Really divides people. Yeah, some people say, oh, yeah, lovely, bit of cress, bit of granary bread, you know, bit of this, bit of that. And some people are saying, like, it's like kind of, you know, licking sick off a piece of wholemeal bread or whatever. I just wonder where you were at with it.
I mean, I'm in the middle of those two options. I wouldn't have it with cress and granary bread, but I wouldn't also describe it as sick either. I like it, but like you say, like, you wouldn't have it every day. Like you can have a cheese sandwich or a ham sandwich most days, but you couldn't have egg mayo all the time.
What would you have it on then? What kind of bread?
I prefer white bread for sandwiches. Yeah, it's not great for the waistline, but it's the best bread, isn't it? White.
Best thing since sliced bread.
Yeah, there's a few comments. Oh, there's 10 people that have left, but there are a lot of comments all of a sudden, so people do care about it. Egg mayo is rank. Let's get some of these up on screen now. I'm actually in control on mouse. Egg mayo and cress, beautiful. Egg mayo or mayo on its own is revolting. There's a lot of people that don't like mayonnaise. I suppose that's where the problem is. Yeah, that was actually it. There wasn't as many as I thought there was. They came through quickly.
What about
came here for football talk, joined here egg mayonnaise. We'll rewind 39 minutes and you'll get your football talk and come back to this bit later. Mayonnaise is one of the most fattening heaps of crap you could ever spoil a sandwich with.
What about salad cream? Because somebody suggested me salad cream, and it sounds a bit retro for me, egg mayonnaise and salad cream.
Don't like salad cream. Salad cream's very 70s, isn't it?
Yeah.
Is that right? Yeah. My dad likes salad
80s,
cream.
I'm not that old, 80s.
Yeah, I don't like it. If you're going to put something like that kind of saucy thing on salad or a sandwich or whatever, it's mayonnaise. I don't get the point of salad cream. Salad cream. What a horrible name for a sauce as well. Salad cream. Oh, no way.
That'll do, wouldn't it?
Should we do that? That's fine. Okay, let's get out of here. Thank you very much for everyone who tuned into the Carton Brew podcast live. Hopefully you enjoyed the football chat, but do give us your opinions on egg mayonnaise in the comments. That's the real talking point. As always, we'll be back with something in the week. Our next game is Saturday, so we've got a whole week to debrief. I don't know whether we'll do... Go on.
I just want to give a shout out to Dave Bull and Maya, who've come all the way over from Sweden today to watch the game. So imagine that, I only get to get back to our zone, and I was fed up. So, they're regular listeners. They suffer twice. They watch the Villa and they listen and watch this podcast. So, big shout out to them anyway. It was a pleasure to meet them today.
You'd be absolutely gutted, wouldn't you, coming over? I mean, let us know in the comments if you watched this far. What was their names? Dave and something? Dave and Maya, was it?
Or Maya.
Dave and Maya, yeah. If you are watching this, give us a shout in the comments. You must be absolutely gutted to come over from Sweden for that game in particular. Like if you had the Leeds 3-3, you'd at least go, oh yeah, exciting, 6 goals. That was poor today though, wasn't it? So yeah, let's get out of here before we get stuck into it again. Matt, thanks for your time on Saturday night as always. Thanks for the comments and the people watching along. We'll be back with something in the week. I don't know whether it'll be more Watford related nonsense or whether we'll look ahead to Brighton and how we can beat them maybe. Let's say that. So yeah, thank you very much for your time and we'll catch you again soon.
Cheers. Up the Villa.
Thank you for listening to Claret and Blue and Aston Villa podcast. If you enjoyed today's episode, then please do let us know. We love hearing your feedback. We'll be back soon with another episode, but until then, up the Villa.